All right, everyone. The ability of Catalonia to self-govern has now been stripped, or I believe it's they have to put it before the Spanish Senate first, but they're expecting it to actually pass. That is, the Prime Minister of Spain has invoked one of the articles of their constitution to remove the local governance and put it directly under Madrid's control. This is what I spoke of I think about a week ago now, which is you have the rise of a Spanish national consciousness that you didn't have before. It's easier when you have a separatist movement within a country, it's easier for the other side to become nationalistic as well. We saw this within the U.S. Civil War era, antebellum era. It's good feels, you know, for the most part. Politically, it's falling apart. But a lot of people are like, yeah, I just want to go fishing or, you know, spin some cotton or do whatever the fuck we're trying to do on our farm. After that, you get a bunch of patriotic music and patriotic propaganda and banners and posters and wave the flag around on both sides. It's both the CSA, the Confederate consciousness, growing as a secessionist movement, and the Yankee consciousness, the anti-secession rhetoric, becomes nationalistic also. This happened over and over again in different countries. It's going to happen in Spain. Spain, until this rears its head as a major issue, what is Spain generally thought of? Kind of leftist, at least economically, kind of backwards part of Europe economically speaking, having to get propped up mainly by the French. No offense to the Spanish, but economically has difficulties, a lot of debt, a lot of other problems, sort of like a Greece or southern Italy or something. And Italy might be next because I know the northern Italian people are like, well, we're like kind of like Switzerland, and the rest of Italy is like taking all of our money. What the fuck? Why are we part of this union, basically, that at one point didn't even exist? Spain may go the same way. Here's the problem. The European Union actually is not embracing Catalonian independence. So that temporarily is off the table. What you've got essentially, though, is the Spanish national consciousness. Those that are like, well, hold Spain together, we're fucking Spanish. That continues to rise and rise as the Catalonian issue remains on the table. Now, stripping them of their independence, that's not going to make the problem go away. It'll probably make it worse. Because as long as the Catalonians are technically self-governing, the Spanish government can just refuse to actually accept the results of any referendum or vote that they hold. You have problems every time they hold a referendum. You have problems every time their local governance speaks out and says, well, we want to be independent. Spain says no. But now you'll have a problem continuously. It will never actually, there will never be a point at which it's not fully present, because everyone there will be like, well, we don't even have the right to govern ourselves anymore. We're basically being enslaved. Now, to the Spanish government, it's like, well, you know, you're part of Spain, and you're causing continuous problems. Your referendum was illegal. This is unconstitutional. You know, so we're invoking part of our constitution. You're gonna, you know, be muzzled for a while until you fucking calm down. In the other Euro states, you might see other groups within Europe begin embracing Catalonian independence for various reasons, whether it's economic, diplomatic. They see Spain as some sort of a competitor in some fields. So they're like, oh, it'd be great if Catalonia broke away. Or another state might go and wine and dine, you know, the de facto Catalonian leadership. Just because you've dissolved their local government doesn't mean they're not going to hold government-style meetings. They're going to continue saying that this is illegitimate. Well, then who's technically in the right? As Spanish nationalism rises, which it will, because you've got a secessionist movement, it will eventually become Eurosceptic. Because at some point, those same people that are saying, well, you know, Catalonia must remain in, will say, well, why should we remain in a post-national authority? We're fighting for Spanish nationalism specifically. We're fighting for an intact Spain. Other groups that are already Eurosceptic are going to take their argument to those Spanish people and say, well, you know, you're not independent either. Spain is not independent. It's part of a post-federal authority that makes most of the rules that you have to live by somewhere else. So what's the point of bickering over Catalonia? I think that argument will work. I think, honestly, it will. Part of the Brexit, really, I think, was prefaced on the English being hostile towards the very pro-EU Scottish with their own independence referendum. That probably played a role. When you're talking about a margin of a couple points, could that not have played a role? both in, you know, the Scottish massively voting against the idea of having a Brexit and the English people voting in many cases overwhelmingly in favor of it, along with the Welsh for some reason. Couldn't that have played some sort of measurable role there, enough to get them over the threshold? I think it did. I think the same thing may eventually happen in Spain. Look, if you held a referendum in Spain right now, should we be in or out of the EU, you'd probably see Catalonia wants in, and other places are the ones that'll be on the decline over time, over some, you know, years, decades, whatever. You know, the EU might collapse before Spain gets a chance to be secessionary from the EU, so that's always a possibility. I think you'll see more and more anti-EU sentiment among the de facto nationalists there that are like, well, you know, we're Spain. Catalonia will not be independent. It's part of Spain. We are Spanish. They're not going to want to be, oh, well, we're European. Well, then what's the point of bickering over Catalonia? Well, if you're part of a post-national authority, what does it fucking matter if they're independent or not? They're still part of the same confederation of states. It wouldn't matter. They're still part of the EU, right? So they're part of the same post-national authority. They just happen not to be under your explicit national control. But it's not going to matter because your national control means nothing. Your nation state means nothing. Your borders mean nothing. Your military won't mean anything. You'll have a European army. You'll have no borders within Europe. It will expand, by the way, beyond continental Europe. Trust me. Turkey will eventually be part of it. Israel will probably be part of it. Don't they already go to Eurovision and some of these other things? Isn't that a little bit odd to you? Don't you find that slightly strange? Well, yeah, we're in a different continent, but you know, we want to be part of this contest. It'll be all good fun. You know, what's next? They're going to say, oh, well, you know, North Africa was part of the Roman Empire, so we're just going to admit them into the European Union. Like Tunisia and Morocco could be part of the European Union. Is it going to look like a bit like Rome on steroids at some point? Are people going to get a little bit messed up? No, I don't expect that the EU will survive. The big thing that comes from Catalonian separatism is that Spanish nationalism becomes more prevalent, whereas before it's like, well, we're European and we rely on the EU for, like, you know, this debt relief and restructuring and all this other bullshit. Also, what if the Merkelites that want to pump Germany full of industry decide to screw Southern Europe some more? Well, you might see more separatism anyway, and then it'd be funny. It'll be funny to see whether that comes true, whether which side, Catalonia or the rest of Spain, will become the first to be more Eurosceptic. Will it be Catalonians that are like, well, the EU isn't trying to help us and our fight is just and they're not helping us and they're not saying anything, we're being abused? Or will it be the Spanish nationalists, like not Catalonian, which are also nationalistic in form, technically speaking, the rest of Spain saying, well, you know, it doesn't make any sense to even have this argument. We're not independent already. One of the two obviously happens. There will be a differential there. It'll be an issue. It'll become a political issue. The best opportunity for the EU right now would be if mostly the Spanish, like at large, supported continued EU membership and the Catalonians embrace EU skepticism because they feel jilted. That would be your best possible outcome. I wouldn't be surprised if Brussels goes down there to conduct propaganda to actually get the Catalonians to hate the EU. I wouldn't be surprised because then they can use that as a wedge issue so that the greater chunk of Spain that, let's face it, has more manpower, more of an economy, more of a military capability, and now has stripped the lesser partner of governance, would become less Eurosceptic perhaps, and you would never see a Spexit. But that's possible. It's possible that they fail. That's what I think will happen. It's what I was talking about days ago. That's about all. Peace out.